Good evening, America. This is Dave Leach and Scott Roeder, once again on our third installment, bringing the truth about the illegality and the unlawfulness of the federal and state income tax, which goes to slaughter unborn children in their mother's womb, which is an abomination. It's the shedding of innocent blood. Our Heavenly Father will not tolerate this much longer, and if America doesn't turn, there will be judgment very, very soon. And if we go to the 16th Amendment to a book titled The Law That Never Was by Red Beckman, and by the way, you can find this book at www.redbeckman.com. That's capital R, capital B. And you can find this book for $35, which the Amazon.com is selling it for $135. But this book explains the fact that the 16th Amendment was never ratified as the income tax power that Congress has to tax the American people on their income. So therefore, that means that the income tax has been unlawfully imposed upon the American people for over 100 years now, and it's time that we stop funding this, and we can do this legally now, lawfully, so that Planned Parenthood no longer slaughters unborn children with this money. So you walk into your personnel department on Tuesday after the holiday, and you put a exempt on the W-4, which will pull no state or federal income tax off your check any longer. You will save approximately 20% more for you to spend, and Planned Parenthood will no longer receive any funding to slaughter unborn children. And if there's any questions, go to redbeckman.com or call him. The number's on his website, or mail him, and the address is on his website. And he will explain further the illegalities and the unlawfulness of the federal and state income tax. So, Dave, if you have any comments or questions, please help me help the American people understand this further.
Well, I guess I'm a little leery of the promise of financial gain. I know, I appreciate that you are so desperate for some end run around the apathy of average Americans that allows the slaughter to continue, that you are desperate to say, well, okay, if we can't appeal to conscience, maybe we can appeal to your wallet and offer to pay you for doing the right thing. But I'm just not sure this is going to be a financial windfall to oppose the IRS in order to stop the slaughter. I think it may not stop until people are actually willing to pay a cost.
Well, all I know is the fact that 20% more could be going into Americans' pockets lawfully when there is no authority for the federal government or the state government to tax the people on their income in America. And it's imperative that we realize that this is going to immediately stop funding of Planned Parenthood, and therefore the slaughter of further innocent blood in America, which is further bringing judgment on America. And also, everything I'm telling you, I've done personally for 17 years. From 1992 to 2009, I did not file or pay federal and state income tax. So this is something that is relatively easy to do once. It's actually not really. It's very easy to do once you know how, because the IRS is a paper tiger. That all they do is operate on bluff. Once you call their bluff, they come tumbling down like a house of cards. They run away with their tail between their legs like a wounded dog, because all they have is lies and deceit to prop these things up on.
I guess I've seen cases where, I don't know if you call it bluff, but when it can put people in jail for the rest of their lives.
Well, don't forget that from cradle to grave, we've all been intimidated into believing if you don't do what they say, they will put you in jail. But how many of us have to ask this question? The country was founded, some say, on the principle of taxation without representation. How about this for the American people? Let's say, no, we're not going to have any more of our money go to the slaughter of unborn children. I think it's about time we had a cause. Well, that's a cause right there. How about slaughtering of innocent blood on this land? How about that?
Yeah, like I say, I'm sympathetic to a way to stop abortion. I just my only question is whether a promise that it will be a financial windfall for you is a reliable promise.
20% more every week, or however often you receive a paycheck, is 20% more for you to spend and not to go to Planned Parenthood because they get taxpayer money. And who earned it? You did. Why don't you spend it? Well, what a novel idea. You actually spend the money that you make? What a novel idea. And for those who believe that there will be no funding of essential services in the government, don't forget that in the Constitution we have impost, excise, and duties which were put there from the founding of the country, which fund the government. The income tax does nothing but go to the Federal Reserve, which is a privately owned institution that 12 families own, basically 12 families. So the IRS is a collection agency for the Federal Reserve. We did not have income tax in this nation from approximately 1776 or 1789 until 1911. So we were a very prosperous nation at that time. The income tax is the second plank of communism. And do your research, do your study. Income tax is a heavy progressive income tax, the second plank of the Communist Manifesto. So let's quit funding communism. Let's quit funding Planned Parenthood. Let's quit funding the slaughter of innocent blood in this land. And let's get a backbone. Let's stand up for what's right. And it may not be a windfall, but 20% more in this economy is going to go a long, long way.
Well, of course, there's no dispute that there would be, a 20% gain. Actually, of course, that's a typical gain. But in other words, whatever, you don't mean literally 20%, you mean whatever is currently being deducted from your paycheck would no longer be. And for a lot of people, somewhere around 20%.
It's an estimate on an average of how much federal and state income tax is deducted from everyone's paycheck every week or month.
Okay, so of course there's no controversy that initially you can stop those deductions. The question is how is it going to go? How are you going to interact with the IRS when the time comes? You've had some success, and that should be encouraging enough to people to look into it. Not everyone has been successful, so.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, and don't forget, you can go on a search engine on the internet and punch in how to legally, lawfully not pay federal state tax. You'll come up with several websites and lots of information. You can go to redbeckman.com. You can send Dave Leach your email address. He's at music@saltshaker.us, and then he will forward me the email addresses, which I will send to you as an invitation, and I will send you more information. And this is actually very simple. Very, very simple.
Let me throw in a correspondence I had with Judy Thomas, the news reporter at Kansas City Star. She wrote an article about our first post a week ago, Here's what I
She
wrote.
wrote an article. Dave, she wrote an article about what?
About our first post, our first conversation about a week ago.
Oh, right.
Yeah, and so I wrote to her, and she hasn't responded back. I said, why does your article refer to the Planned Parenthood exposés? The series of videos
Yeah.
where they where they get people working for Planned Parenthood talking about selling baby parts, body parts. Why do you refer to those exposés as being heavily edited? I haven't actually watched them, but I read that the condensed versions are accompanied by links to the unedited version that was their source. Isn't that true? Would that the
Yeah.
news industry in general had that much transparency? Isn't heavily edited a way to describe just about every news story? Now, of course,
Absolutely.
every story has to be heavily edited, or it will be too long for anyone to read, like what I write. But don't you think your application of the phrase to a competitor in the marketplace of ideas, without the caveat that the phrase describes everyday good journalism as well as everything you write, and without the caveat that it is accompanied by the unedited version, don't you think
Well,
that prejudices people who are wondering if such sensational statements are really presented in context?
those are very good observations, and I would like to hear her comments on the questions that you asked her.
I'd like to tell you how she answered me,
Oh, okay.
but she unfortunately she didn't answer me, and I don't want to put words in her mouth.
Yeah.
But some more that I wrote to her about your claims about the IRS. I said, Scott has forced me to address claims that I have put on the back burner for many years. I wish
Yeah.
your article was more informative in refuting them than to merely repeat broad, unsourced claims. For example, Scott cited his personal experience with the IRS. He quoted specific code numbers he used and the specific IRS response. It would sure be interesting to get some insider insight on what might explain such a response. The comment stream after my first post attracted some meaty refutations, which I need more time to finish reviewing, although they address Russo's movie, not Scott's experience.
Well, I'm glad that you brought those things up because, again, I am talking from personal experience, and I can go over those issues on how they were handled. But I do want to bring up and reiterate the fact that when these undercover people went in Planned Parenthood and got the audio and visual, one of the most evil things I've ever heard was the woman who was in charge of Planned Parenthood was showing these people or telling them that she could show them now quote, now get this, listen very carefully, a less crunchy method in order to extract organs from intact babies. So, okay, I'm going to repeat that. A less crunchy method to extract organs from an intact baby's body. So, if you want your tax money to go to help people find a less crunchy method of extracting organs from a baby's intact body, then you can do that. But I highly advise against it because the shedding of innocent blood is one of the 7 things that our Heavenly Father explicitly says that He hates. So, unless you repent, you will have to answer to our Heavenly Father for why you were allowing the shedding of innocent blood, which is one of the 7 things that He hates. So I don't know if that answered your question, David, But I'm glad that you brought these questions back to Judy Thomas, because reporters are known for generalization when they want to cover up what is the truth and suppress the truth in unrighteousness. They will have broad generalization. So if you want any further information, please email Dave Leach at music@saltshaker.us and or redbeckman.com and order his book, The Law That Never Was, and learn the truth where your tax dollars are going, and find out that the IRS is a paper tiger. There's nothing to be afraid about. They operate on bluff, and they have nothing to go by but lies and deceit.